those of you that don't know, it doesn't run on hopes and dreams, so we're gonna go ahead and put some fuel in it. Welcome everyone. I think you're really gonna enjoy what we're gonna show today. Not all of us are able to afford GPS guidance in our tractors. And I have an app here. It's not my app, it's called Field Navigator. Give it a second to load. It's gonna kind of give us guidance. It won't steer for us, but it'll show where, let's say that we are going to, let's do this. So let's say that I want to spread manure, right? And that's what we're gonna do with it today and kind of show the aspect of it. My internet's a little slow here, so just bear with me. However, as far as position goes, that is incredibly accurate right now. So you can see right in front of me is this building. The GPS on this, so this is a radio unit, an Android radio unit. It has a GPS piece on it, and we actually mount that on the outside of the roof of the cab. That way it has clear signal and is not distorted by metal or anything of that nature. Let's go ahead and let me get some political promises together and I will show you how it works. For those of you wondering, we got a lot of sleet. That's what this is, not snow at all. It's solid. Matter of fact, you can see where I drove the truck back there. I barely sank in over here at all. And that's just because it's getting warmer out now. If you look over here, so our 20,000 pound tractor didn't even sink in. You can see where I was horsing around and gave it some throttle and it dug just a hair, but for the most part this is all it did. I don't even know if you can see it on the, yeah, you can see it. I mean, it's not dug in at all, just a tiny little indentation. That's it. Shows you a little bit of what we got. That's a good inch of it or so, and that's not really accurate because it's right up against the building. We got a lot of it. Well, it's starting to warm up out. Stuff's starting to melt. That's not really what we want, but needless to say, I'm going to take it. I would like to get this spread while it's still frozen so I don't sink and it'll make ruts in the hayfield. However, it's not looking all that promising. You could easily get more nutrient value out of your manure by letting it compost. However, I don't have anywhere to leave it to compost right now. Now, eventually, we do have plans of getting it set up to where we can leave it sit, and you know, it probably won't sit for a whole year. But for instance, we won't spread it until say February, like now, late February, early March. Give it a little bit of chance to compost. Because as we grow, they aren't going to all fit. All the sheep won't fit in one barn. We want to grow to 350. And there'll just be too many of them. It won't give them the living space that they need. Leave that there while Caden's finishes scraping. While Caden's loading me up with manure, basically I'll kind of tell you guys a little bit about our manure setup. This is a 16 by 6 Kelly Ryan manure spreader. Just a single beater. And obviously has a chain for the floor to move it. And it does have the stakes on here, so we could extend it up. But again, our beaters just don't sit very high. And I would actually like to make that to where that beater spins faster to be more effective. Now, you've seen our tractor multiple times on our channel. The 1984 Allis Chalmers 8030 with front wheel assist. We used to have a 7045 Allis Chalmers. Both are good tractors, but realistically we just needed four-wheel drive because a lot of times we'd have to call a neighbor to get us out of not even being really stuck so much as like this condition right here where it's icy out. And I just simply couldn't get back up an incline or something like that. And when the manure spreader has no weight on it, it really doesn't help me at all then. It's just dragging weight. When it has weight on it, it's towards the front, it helps. On our way to the field, already got Navigator app open, and it's loaded. Actually, it's already loaded in. It's very slick out. Not as bad. Now that it's starting to melt, it actually makes it less slick because you can kind of dig in. We're gonna go ahead and start spreading now. I'm not gonna be able to hold this still enough to show you guys, so let me finish this and then I'll show you. So this is where we started down here, and then we went right up here. I made a little loop at the end, just like you see, came right back. And it's, I mean, as far as I'm going to say, I believe it's very accurate. Mainly because what I see on here is really close to what I see on the ground as well. Now you can see where I stop. So if I hit stop and then I drive somewhere, the time is going to keep counting. But the green lines that shows that you went somewhere will not. I really like the app. I think it's a wonderful app, and it tells me how many acres I covered because it gives me my width of my implement, which I have to set at 9 feet, and then obviously however far I've driven, which was 1,856 feet. So there and back was 1,856 feet, and that gives me an area of 0.409 acres. I didn't realize this part, but if you look right here, it's actually adding to my path, but it's not adding to my area covered. So your path may be long, but it's still going to show you how many acres you covered. I'm sorry I'm moving the camera. I'm really trying to hold it as still as I can, but it's difficult. Hopefully you guys can see over my head. See that we started and began, and we just keep our lines going. I'm going to take some drone video here shortly, and you'll be able to see where we went and kind of realize that that's accurate, because there's some spots where I've got a, not on purpose obviously, but I've got a little gap. Not perfect, I'm not a GPS driver. This app and this radio setup are not going to be like RTK accurate. You know, they're not plus or minus an inch or anything like that. But the reality is that I spent, I think the radio was like 120 bucks. And it sounds pretty good, and then I can also have apps like YouTube and Spotify and everything else. So when I'm in the tractor for a long day, it gives me options as far as listening to things. So I can listen to podcasts or music on Spotify. I can listen to, you know, talk shows or something like that on YouTube. You know, whatever you want to do. But the real bigger takeaway is that I can manage and monitor where I put fertilizer or manure, in this case, on, and where I have them. Even though it may not be exactly perfect, and it may not be exactly accurate, the manure has to come out of my barn regardless. It has to get spread. And like I said before, I don't have a way to store it right now. So I can't, you know, store up 3 months worth of manure and then, I can't store up a bunch of manure and then go spread it all in one day and, you know, kind of make sure I'm in the same area. Because when you're spreading it right now, I can obviously see where I have and have not went. Where it becomes an issue is like how we do it. So 2 weeks from now, I will be spreading manure again. And again, you can kind of see the outline, but that's only because I'm doing it. I'm not gonna be able to finish that whole area. I'm gonna be short probably 2 or 3 loads. If I was finishing a whole area and starting a new area, great. I already know where I want to start, unless it's like this, where I just finished this area last, so 2 weeks before, I finished this area. Like saying, it just makes it to where it's back of it. You can save where you went, and saving it, making it to where I can look at it later. So let's say that, and you can make notes in there. So let's say that I'm spreading 2 tons an acre on these passes, but on all these other passes I only did 1.5 tons. And then I want to compare the yield. I can pull a map up and see where I spread it 2 tons an acre, where I spread it 1.5 tons an acre, where I spread it, I don't know, 500 pounds an acre. All kinds of different options as far as what you're able to do with the data. Like I said, it's a free app. It saves it on the device. Downside is that, let's say that I'm in this tractor spreading, but then I have another tractor that has the same setup. I cannot see from one tractor to the next where I have or have not went. It won't show any of that. I'm gonna take a gamble because I'm pretty sure you can see that on that screen. Just to show that while I'm driving, it is actually showing where I'm at, how fast I'm going. It shows your accuracy, so it'll tell you how many inches you're within as far as accuracy goes. It shows a lot of things. It's really handy, especially like I said, if you're in older equipment like this, and I don't have a need for, you know, so ag leader or something like that. For cutting hay, I mean, yeah, you could use it to cut the hay, but even then, I guess you could use it for raking and stuff too. I don't know. My point being is that for a smaller farm, I don't have the money to buy some really expensive GPS guidance, and I just don't need it necessarily to steer my tractor. Holy smokes. It's a rough spot. By the looks of things, it is going to be one more load. That's going to be a little bit too much to be able to squeeze it all on one. I suppose something else we should talk about is, this is what the ground looks like without the manure on it. This is what it looks like with it on it. Now, you can see that as I reach through, I can find, you know, hay debris, I can find manure right here, more manure, I find all that stuff. But the key is that, notice it's not so thick that it's gonna drown out the vegetation below it and essentially block its sunlight or anything. Now, again, like I mentioned, that app helps us to ensure that we're putting the proper amount. I know that this is going to throw you off a little bit because the simple fact that I am in the barn and it's kind of having a harder time getting its GPS signal. But what I wanted to show you was pretty much how it worked. So the